Welcome to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life, and welcome to a new, fresh year. Well, Laurel, we get to ring in 2024 with our listeners today, don't we?
Yes, this is the best. I
I'm so
mean,
excited.
me too. What a way to celebrate the beginning of a new year.
I know, with our fresh podcast topic and a fresh year to talk about it in, and maybe even, take ourselves all together accountable to one another for this theme. Because I feel like this theme is, like one of those, wow, if you get this, a lot can transform and come together in your life, right?
Yes. And are you going to tell them what our January theme is?
Laurel, you tell them.
It is confidence.
Yes.
And I love that because, I'm going to say at some people believe at our age
Mm.
that we're confident. We
Yeah.
know what we know. We've experienced what we experienced. But confidence is something I think that I've had to practice and level up with
Mhm.
no matter what age I am, no matter what stage I am, even a new year, because the newness, the uncertainty, the
Holding yourself
oh,
accountable to whatever it is that you want, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunity.
hmm
And so coming into this new year with focused on confidence really does excite me to think about who do I have to be to live the way I want to live this year? And I know I need to be confident.
Yeah. Right. Right. So let's be confident together. Let's be
Yes.
confident together. Let's call the show Let's Be Confident in 2024. And let's talk about how to do that. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, we don't feel confident. We might feel insecure. We might feel uncertain. We might doubt ourselves. We might feel judgmental of ourselves. We have all these feelings, right? And so, how do we rally the feeling of confidence? So, if you're not in our Facebook group, on Mondays, we do Monday attunements. And so throughout the month of January, we'll be doing Monday attunements and we will be focusing on confidence because that's what we do, right? In the Facebook group is
Yes.
we try to bring a more rounded and full experience, shall we say, to whatever our topic is of the month. So we'll be focusing on attunements to confidence. And I feel like with confidence, Laurel, there's different aspects to it, don't you? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think, let's be confident?
The very first thing that comes into my mind, believe it or not, is my self-judgment or shortcomings, right? Because
Yeah.
I right away go for the inventory of what do I have to know about myself? What do I have to face? What do I have to intentionally um, change
Mm,
in order to be confident, right?
wow.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
because I know the feeling in my body of confidence, and what gets between me and that feeling is often my own self-judgment.
Mm,
So I need to deal with all of that nonsense first
yeah.
and then step into the confidence because I know that maybe my perception of my shortcomings are really only that. They're only my little opinions.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great beginning for anybody who feels like when they think about, I want to feel really confident. And then the thing that comes rushing in is self-doubt and self-judgment is, yeah, how do we address that in order to get that out of the way so that we can bring up, a state of confidence. So
Yes.
let's work with that because I feel
Yeah.
like that's a really good one, right? Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? What comes up for you when you think about stepping into your confidence?
I feel like stepping into my confidence, for me, the first thing that comes up is authenticity. I feel like if I'm being authentically myself and able to just be vulnerably in the moment, however I am, then I can just say, I can just be confident that I'm just going to be me, right? I'm going to be me and I'm going to do the best that I can, right? I always
I
come back
love
to that
that.
four agreements too. Don't you love that four agreements?
Yeah.
I always felt like that fourth agreement of always do your best, right? Is if I have made that agreement to myself, right? And this is how you do the work of the four agreements. You actually take some time to work with each one of those agreements. And one of them is always do your best. So I feel like I am committed to always do my best. And that might not be the best of all me, right? In every single moment of every single day. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, right? But I also am really well aware that I will truly try to do my best. And if I feel like I can't show up as fully as I want to in that moment, I do my best to share that so that
Yes.
I set expectations to be realistic, both for myself and for other people.
Yes.
You
And
know?
you know what I love about that?
Yeah.
You're confident and you can be vulnerable, right?
Yes. Yes.
And oftentimes we think about those two things being opposite or in conflict from each other. But the way that you just described it, you can, when you are authentically you, be confident, knowing that you are you. And when you can't show up as your best, you're sharing that, which means you're telling others, maybe you're not your best today, and that's a struggle,
Yeah.
but you're still doing that with confidence.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. And also for anybody who really feels like this work is resonating with them and this talk that we're having today is resonating with them, make sure you take a look at our retreat because our retreat is very much focused into what we're talking about today in this show. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we are going to be spending our retreat weekend diving into vulnerability
And
and
authenticity, right?
and
Yeah,
authenticity.
and how they actually meet, right, together
Yes.
to find that inner confidence and that inner sense of I have a power within me that I can be vulnerable, I can be authentic, and I can just confidently show up however I am in today.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that.
And that feels so good
It's
because
going
we
to be
take
a
the pressure off ourselves, right? Oftentimes we put the pressure on.
we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a sticky on my desk that says, I am my biggest obstacle. And I know that to be
Mhm.
true,
Yeah.
right? When I can confidently own that I get in my own way,
Mhm.
even though I do this inner work all the time.
Mhm.
And even though I lead clients through their inner work, right? It's still okay to know that we do have well, there's always room for improvement. I'll stop there.
Yeah, well, I think it's, some of this is, so let's go back to where you were because I feel like
Yeah.
where you were was, we have to deal with the self-judgment
Yes.
and the inner criticism or the inner self-talk that really gets in the way of being confident to just show up as you are today, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so, I always feel like, when I was doing my work of really quieting and putting the inner critic and inner judge in her rightful place internally, I had to have some really good self talk around that. I
Yes.
think there's a lot of self talk involved in this, and then working with the underlying feelings over time. Right. So let's talk about the inner self talk a little bit. Right.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So, as you were talking about thinking about, what was the sticker that you had?
I I am my biggest obstacle.
I am my biggest obstacle. Yeah. So let's reframe that in a
Sure.
way where we're working with that, knowing I can get in my own way, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So how do we have some self-talk that helps us get out of our own way, right? I always feel like for each one of us, we have to find our voice that is authentically us, right? I always say, can you call on the mother in you, the good mother? I always like the good mother because I always feel like we all have a strict mother. We all have a bad mother. We all have a good mother. We all have a loving mother. We all have a kind mother. We all have a disciplinarian mother. We all have these versions of mother inside. So find the kind mother, right? But the
Yes.
mother that speaks the truth, right? Because you have to believe her voice. Otherwise, it won't stick. So you have to believe it, right? And what would she say, right?
Yes. And so
Yeah.
some of the things that come to me when I think, that reminder of I am my biggest obstacle is not a criticism for me. When I read that, I read it to be a reminder that I do get in my own way. And so when I work through, when I need to do the work so that I do not get in my own way, I remind myself of, I'll say, the pleasure, the confidence, the reward when I bravely, courageously get out of my own way, right? That
Mm-hmm.
might require me to do things different. It might require me to do something that's uncomfortable, to try something a new way, right? It might be to own that I am my own biggest obstacle and my biggest cheerleader. I can be both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Right, right. And so to be able to speak into that, right? So it sounds like part of your process is using more words, right? Once you latch onto, oh, maybe I'm getting in my own way here, then it's what do I need to do differently?
That's right.
Laurel, what might you do differently in this situation? Or Laurel, why do you feel like you're stuck? Where are you afraid to step forward
That's
here?
right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And it almost is it reminds me of my own capability, right? I have the capability to be that and something else,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it really does inspire me or challenge me to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. That's great.
And what
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I feel like so for like the self-criticism and the inner judge is first of all, hearing it as quickly as you can while it's happening. And then I know for me, it was really being matter of fact, oh my God, my inner judge is talking right now and saying really lousy, mean, cruel, whatever the right descriptor is, words to me right now. I need to just stop that right now and shut that down, right?
Yes.
And what is going to be helpful for me right now? What voice do I need to hear that would be of more use to me? And that's where you want to step in with good mother, best friend, life coach, cheerleader in the background, right? Whatever you need in that moment, right? To rally into a place of um, a reframing. I can do this. I just might not know how yet, but I'm going to
Yes.
try some things, right?
Yes. Yes. And I do think that, you know, bringing that practice back to confidence, right? Knowing that knowing confidently that you have the ability, you're the one who can stop that negative self-talk.
Yeah.
You're the one who can change your behavior. You may need support,
Right.
but you're the one who can do it, right?
Yeah. 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 And I believe, I think that's the other thing too uh, is to really, really think hard and look in the mirror, and you've got to be brutally honest with yourself. Do you think you can change? I mean, I know when I first started doing my work, I didn't know if I could. I was afraid that I couldn't, and you don't know that you can change until you're actually doing it differently.
Yes.
And you can change.
Well, and it takes a great deal of confidence to know you can change. One of the ways I found helpful is by asking myself the question, not the question, am I capable of change, but the question of, am I willing to change?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when we get into our willingness, it's different than our capacity, right?
It's
I mean,
true.
I am capable of change. I could add under these circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
I could add with this support and assistance.
Mm-hmm.
I could even add if my life depended on it. I mean, we all
Mm-hmm.
know that when your life
Mm-hmm.
depends on you changing, you change.
That's right. That's why a lot of people don't change their eating
That's
habits or
right.
whatever until they get really sick.
That's
Right.
right. And so the question of, am I willing, is a different question for me than am I capable? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
great.
can I just bring it to something as silly as, running a 5K? Now, I've never run a 5K in my life. I ran a mile twice in my life. Early in my relationship with my husband, I wanted to take ballroom dancing, and he said he would take ballroom dancing with me if I ran a 5K. Neither of us have done that. He's a
You can
runner.
see
I'm a
it.
dancer.
But no.
But, but do I believe that I'm capable of running a 5K? I do believe that. I believe if I decide and I have assistance and I train and I prepare, I believe I am capable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I willing? Hell no. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Right.
different.
I know. And it's okay to confidently say that.
Yes. And
Right.
so I really want to challenge our listeners,
Yeah.
what are you confident about and what are you willing to do to be confident about something, right?
Right. Right. And do you know, so let's come back to some journaling, right? We probably already
Yeah.
put a lot of journaling stuff in here, but let's get a little more specific so we can really kind of help people launch into the new year well, right? Do you know what confidence feels like?
In
Can
your
you,
body.
yeah,
Mm.
can you close your eyes and bring up the feeling of confidence, right? Because we all want to be able to know, oh, this is what it feels like to feel confident. And somewhere in your body, it probably does know what confidence feels like. If you haven't felt it for a long time, you might have forgotten what it feels like. But in there somewhere, it's probably there. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is find a way to experience confidence in real time, whether we're imagining it and bringing it up in our body. And so we go, this is what confidence feels like, or whether we're actually feeling it because we're going off to do something. And now I've drummed up the feeling of confidence and I'm feeling confident so that right? Like that's your like, okay, this is how I want to feel going into whatever it is I'm going into. Maybe it's every single morning you want to feel confident going into your day.
Mm.
Maybe it's just every single meeting, with more than 3 people, I want to feel confident. Whatever it is that right now is your confidence, say, challenge to you, right?
Yeah. And I love that because we do have to remind ourselves, right? And if it takes recalling an image of yourself, you know, a prior version of yourself, a younger version, whatever that might be, right? It could be younger, it could be older. I mean, who knows what that is, but bringing up that vision and knowing that you experienced confidence at that time, or you will experience confidence, you know, in the future when, like, start to feel that, start to envision it, start to really physically find it in your body.
Right, right. See how you stand, feel how you're standing, feel how you're walking when you're feeling confident, feel how you're talking. Listen to the sound of your voice when you're feeling confident. Just tune into what does it feel like? Where is it in your body? How are you experiencing it? How do you sound? How do you look? Look in the mirror when you
Right.
feel confident, right?
Right. And then there's other things I want to mention. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Right.
Mhm.
Are you surrounding yourself with people that make you feel less than, or people that make you feel your full confident self? What are you wearing? Right. Is it the colors? Is it the styles? Like, is it whatever it is? You know, who are you being when you are confident? How are you
Yes.
showing up? Right. What are you doing? Right.
Yes, yes. And looking at other people that you go, oh, wow, they look really confident. If it makes you feel good to look at them, what do they look like? Like actually write down what it is that you're seeing, because
Yes.
that's probably you, but you're not used to actually doing that when you feel confident. You might not have been letting yourself freely express that yet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just love every minute of this conversation about how does it feel in your body, because oftentimes it's our thoughts, it's our thinking
Mhm.
that gets in our way,
Yeah.
slows us down, becomes the obstacle. But when we can feel confidence and we can recreate the feeling of confidence by simple actions
Mhm.
and choices, we can override that, maybe, the critical thinking
Yes, yes.
that
Yeah,
has us believing we're not confident.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like, being able to start to look at your habits, right, that are connected to your lack of confidence or feeling a lack of confidence, right? So start to be on the lookout for habitual patterns, right? So this is the self-talk or the places that you oh, I can't do that. Oh no, I couldn't do that, right? Just listening to yourself and starting to take note of that so that you can start to develop some affirmations of self talk to help you step forward in the kind of confidence that we're talking about. I mean, to me, the kind of confidence we're talking about is that basic, trusting in self confidence so that it doesn't matter whether it has to do with the 5K that you've never run or the dinner that you're making for the 16th time for people that you make really well, you're still going to show up and just do your best that day, whatever it is, right? And that's
Yes.
the feeling. And it's the feeling the same, whether it's for that or for that. It's a matter of like, this is a baseline of inner self confidence that you rally because I'm being me, I'm being vulnerably me, and yet I'm going to do the best that I can.
Yes.
And so
And
the circumstances don't matter.
they really don't.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I really believe that confidence is critically important for us is because, when we set out to do things, right? When we want certain things in our life, we really, without confidence, we, I'll say, limit the power that we have,
Mhm.
right? When I think my powerful way of being or my own power really lives in my confidence. And I've experienced when I've had times when, insecurity has shown up. And, or I've gone through a little bit of a wobbly time when I'm questioning my capabilities,
Mhm.
right? Those are the times that I feel powerless. But the minute that I can start bringing confidence back into my being, I really do feel that sense of I have freedom of choice. I have a power within me to make my choices and to live my life a certain way that
Yeah.
is authentically me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm glad you kind of like also touched on some other things, Laurel, that I feel like I don't want to leave out of our conversation before we wrap up today, because I feel like, there's this feeling that I'm talking about where you're being authentic, you're being vulnerable, you're being present, you're just showing up as fully as you. But then there's the other aspects of preparing, right? Learning what you need to learn.
Yes.
Uh, well, maybe checking ahead and finding out what the parameters are of something, being
Right.
on schedule or on time, right?
Yes.
Like there's these other parts of it that, if you can be feeling like you're going to show up and you're going to be vulnerable and you're just going to be yourself and you're going to be whatever. But if you're a half an hour late and everybody's already started, you usually don't show up feeling really great about it. You know what I mean? Your confidence, whatever confidence you have, is now fizzled down to not a lot.
That's right. That's right.
Or they don't even want you there because you showed up too late. So too late.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that you left out was the self-knowing, right? Knowing, like when you think about how can you be confident if you don't know yourself? How can you show up confidently, authentically if you don't know yourself, right? If your blind spots are so thick, if you're not willing to engage in some, exercise to increase your self-awareness, right? I
Yes.
mean, because I do think that those are the things, when we know those things about us, then, when we have that self awareness,
Mhm.
we know well, I can't show up a half an hour late because that will just zap my confidence.
Yes. Yes.
Right. But if we're not aware that we have a tendency to, I'll say, not be respectful of time,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Then if we're not aware that that's our tendency, our pattern,
Yeah.
and how much it um disrupts or interferes with who we want to be, then we're not going to be able to be confident.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know what's kind of flitting around on the outskirts here, and I kind of want to pull it in because I do think it's important for us today as we share here with our listeners is making sure that you're paying attention to the culture, the place that you're going to be in, or the place that you want to be in, right? The situation and the people that you want to interact with. Now, I know when I owned a business with my husband, the directors that we had for the organization, they had to work with the next tier down of people. And one of their frustrations all the time was, they have a list at the beginning of all the things that they need to do and they're responsible to for the organization to get going. And, there's the list and it just needs to get done. And if hasn't gotten done, then they're not ready to start work. Right. And oftentimes people would show up and they'd be like, well, you didn't remind me. And wait a minute, here was your list. I don't, I'm not your mom. I'm not here to remind you 10 times, get out of bed, get up, go to school or whatever. I'm here to give you the list, get it done, and now you'll work for us. Right. And so, being aware that there will be things, right, that you are going to be responsible for. And in order to be a part of whatever you want to be a part of, you have to accept that responsibility. And
Yeah.
if you're not willing to, then you're going to forego maybe some opportunities that you wish that you could have, despite you feeling inside really confident.
Yeah. It's so that what a dilemma that is, right?
Yes, yes, it is. Because if you haven't been conditioned, shall we say, right, to know that there's certain parameters that you have to fulfill and expectations that you have to meet in order to do a good job, it's just part of working in systems and in tiered organizations where everybody has their own responsibility. You have to know what yours are and then just do them. If you haven't been used to that, then sometimes that's a stiff wake up call, shall we say, of
And
this is a reality of the world. Yeah.
yeah, and I think we can even bring that to relationships. It's not just within systems and organizations, but
Yeah, it's good.
within relationships, including the relationship with ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so how can we be confident if
Mhm.
if we're not respectful of our responsibilities and obligations to ourselves, to others, to an organization?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so important. So I feel like, this is kind of a tiered process, shall we say, of being able to see like how do I show up really confidently? How do I show up in a way where I'm going to feel confident this year? And so there's going to be ways that you want to go about it, right? And I hopefully we've given some good journaling to get started on that.
Yeah.
We'll be back to talk more this month, throughout the month of January,
Yes.
talk about the topic, and we'll hit some more of these topics in a little bit more detail, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A word just came up for me and I want to mention it because we talked a lot about vulnerability and authenticity, integrity, right? And this going back to the four agreements, like the more that we are acting and being in integrity, I think the more opportunity we have to be confident, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's so much here that
There's
we
so
could
much.
continue to talk about.
Yeah. But let's make a pact together here on the podcast. Let's go into the year with a mission to let's be confident this year and find our way into our own real, authentic, vulnerable, and true, confident inner confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the vision. I love almost
Mm.
even the physical feeling of stepping into 2024 with more confidence or creating, more confidence or just showing up confidently.
Yes, yes. So let us
I
know.
almost feel taller right now.
I do too. I feel like I'm sitting up really tall in my chair. Yeah. So we want to know what do you feel like you need, right? What do you feel like is a weak spot for you in confidence area, right? So we can speak into that a little bit with you, right? And
Yeah.
share. Yeah.
Yes. How can we help and support
Yeah.
you as you increase your confidence?
Yeah. We want you to feel confident.
Mm.
Yeah. All right.
Mm. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being with me.
And the link to our retreat is right here in the show notes, so you can take a good look at that, and we'll be talking more about that in the month ahead as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with me. And listeners, thanks as always for being with us.
Yeah,
We wouldn't be here without you.
we wouldn't be here without you. And we are wishing you a really fantastic 2024. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you
To new
want? We want to
beginnings.
know. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Off we go.
Bye for now.
Bye.